everybody? My name is MV. This is my boy Papito. We're here doing
Little
a brand
daddy.
new show. This is about politics. This is gonna be about financial advice. So we're starting off with politics this week. We're gonna as we go, we're gonna be talking about different topics, things that are going on in the financial world, things that are going on in the politics world here in the USA and Dominican Republic and the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, and we're just trying to educate people a little bit on some stuff that they might not know about, that they might not hear from people like us. You know what I mean?
For sure. So we're gonna get started off the back. We're gonna get started off with Trump back on Twitter.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, bro? How do you feel about Trump and a bunch of other people back on Twitter?
I'm glad everybody's back, to be honest with
Word.
you. Because I'm real big on, I'm anti-censorship.
Okay.
So I don't care what your point of view is on anything, your political views, or anything. I don't care where you fall on the spectrum. You should be able to say what you want to say.
Anything. Even if you're a Nazi, even if you're saying I want to hurt
I'm against
kids,
censorship.
even if you think
Now,
that
if you're
anybody
saying-
should be able to go on Twitter.
Now, yeah, I think everybody should be able to go on Twitter, say what they got to say what they want to say or whatever. But there can be limits to certain. I don't believe in like hate speech per se,
Hate speech,
or
right.
people threatening people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That. But I don't think people should get kicked off of Twitter because of certain tweets, depending on what they're talking about. But I don't think people should get kicked off like that.
But a lot of people said that Trump was spewing hate speech on Twitter, and that's why the original people that were on the board, the CEOs, and the people that controlled it, banning him.
Right.
How do you feel about him being labeled as hate speech? You know, he said a few things you didn't like.
Of course.
With the Mexicans or rapist stuff, remember?
Yeah.
You didn't like that. He said he retweeted a lot of stuff that a president, if a president tweets it, like he retweeted a lot of the black people commit more crimes. So how do you feel about that?
Well, again, he can say what he wants to say.
Okay.
I go with facts. You know what I'm saying? And so he has to be able to back things up with statistics, not just opinion. Because a lot of times people just give an opinion about something.
All right.
And I don't care. You know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So I don't care about that. But, you know, if you're going to say things, I think you should have to back certain things up. But I don't think he should have been kicked off Twitter in the first place. And I think they did themselves an injustice by kicking him off, because if you remember early on in the pandemic when the vaccines came out,
right,
he actually was somebody on the right that was saying, yo, get the vaccine, this and that. He could have actually helped some of the messaging that the Democrats, when they took over the White House, Senate, and the House, all three branches, it could have helped them out. You know, but by them silencing him, basically, because you really didn't hear much from Trump when he wasn't on Twitter. It was, remember, before it was every day.
They banned him from
every platform.
YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All of them got together and banned Trump. And I think that that's a disservice to the country, because although he says some wild stuff sometimes,
he should be able to say it.
He should just be able to say it. Because this is a free country, although those are private companies and they can do what they want.
Right.
What happens is you ban Trump, now you ban somebody like Frankenstein. He got banned. Black preacher, he was saying some wild stuff too, which is his right to say, but he also got banned. So what happens is when you start banning people, it creates a precedent where anybody can get banned for anything.
And the thing is, the problem that I have with it was that you only want to hear one side. Like, you only want to hear the people that agree with you. And we're never going to get anywhere if we don't have opposing views on certain things. You have to look at things from everybody's perspective. You know what I mean? And so that's why I honestly, I feel that everybody should be allowed to be on there. And then even now, I hope that they don't start banning people that are on the left per se.
No, I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think he's gonna ban Elon Musk now owns Twitter for, you know, I think
people
everybody
that don't
knows
know.
that. But I don't think that he's gonna ban anybody. He will not let Alex Jones back on. They asked him, why don't you let Alex Jones back on? And he said Alex Jones took it too far with the whole conspiracy around around the shooting with the kids in Connecticut.
And you saw he had to pay a lot of money. He lost that case. They
Bro,
talking about 900 million.
That dude is done in life, bro. Like, even if he gets money from anywhere, he's gonna have to pay it to these families. Because what he said was fucked up. He tried to use that. He
was using it to make money.
Yeah, to make money, a conspiracy.
Get for likes, clicks, and all of that.
Yeah, like
you know
he said those kids weren't really dead, which is insane. I mean, how do you say that to parents that are burying the little babies?
Lost their kids, that was wild.
So that was why I'm glad he's not back on. He said a lot of crazy things, although some of the crazy things he said were true. That one particular was just too much, and it was a conspiracy. So I'm glad things are I feel like things are going back to woke era, which I like. Twitter, what made Twitter was the fact that anything goes. Yeah. Right? Twitter, that's what makes Twitter so dope, and that's why it's my favorite social media, because anything goes. I mean, you have porno on there, you have killings on there. I mean,
yeah. Sometimes you get news there faster than actual mainstream media.
Exactly. You're seeing the news unfiltered without anybody's bias. So that's why I love Twitter, and that's why I'm glad Elon Musk bought it, because I know it's gonna go back to the way it was before, and now you don't have the pressure of anybody, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, right or left, woke, unwoke, to ban people and do things like that.
I feel like I think we agree somewhat on the woke stuff. Yeah, some people were extra with the woke, stuff and everything. But I do feel like there are, like you said, Alex Jones. I think there are some people that
he took it too far.
Yeah, but I think there are gonna be some people that probably still should be on Twitter that he's still not gonna allow. Not Alex Jones. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Well, he hasn't reinstated of Dr. Francochon yet, which I think he should reinstate. Yeah, he got banned because he was saying things about.
He said some wild stuff
about Jews. He was going in on the Jews, so he got banned, and he was saying some crazy stuff. But he should be allowed to be on there.
I mean, my thing is just when people say things, and especially when you have a huge following, man, you got to be a little responsible, and you got to. Hell, we do research, and we're not even that. We're not journalists, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not.
So for those that don't know, we have a podcast, and every time you say something on there, you better say the right thing, because people will go look for it.
Yeah.
And kind of make you look idiotic on the chat. So
you look like a fool.
I anytime anybody says anything to me, I always take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of people don't do research. Just like when they called Trump a racist, that was one of the things where I didn't think that. I mean, every single rapper made a video with Trump in it, referencing Trump. Mm-hmm. How does that person become a racist all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I've said it before.
Yeah,
I don't think he's necessarily racist.
Yeah,
I think he's more of a classist. You know what I mean?
I think he doesn't. I'll agree with that.
He doesn't really like poor people, and he likes to have cheap labor. You know what I'm saying? For his buildings. Like, he said all these things about illegal immigrants, but remember, he got caught when he was building Trump Tower here in D.C.
Yeah.
He got caught that there was a bunch of illegals working there.
I think all rich people use illegal. Whether you're right or the left, I think everybody uses it. I mean, there's been companies that are left-leaning that use illegal. I mean, I've used. I went to Home Depot and picked up a couple of them dudes and have them come to my house and do the labor, because it's so expensive, to hire a company.
Contractors and everything.
Contractors are
they're expensive.
As hell, you know what
a lot of them won't work for less than $40, $50 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So you got.
So I just think that when people say, "Well, he used illegal immigrants to build whatever," I think that's some hypocritical stuff to say, just because most people have done it that are building something. Very few companies in this country go 100% straight, where they only hire people with papers.
The only people that really do that is if like federal contracts, because they're not allowed. You can't get on any base or any federal contracts without having citizenship, legal documentation.
Even if you're an alien, you can't get on these buildings?
No, you have to at least be a resident.
Okay.
You have to at least be a resident of the country. You know what I'm saying? They will not. You can't even have a PIN number, as far as I know.
So as far as Ukraine, how do you feel about? We've sent so far $17 billion to Ukraine.
I think it's more than that.
It's at $17 billion right now.
I think that was
$17 billion.
That might have been the last one they sent.
So how do you feel about all that money going to Ukraine and then being able to print money anytime they want.
And it goes back to what we've talked about this before. Like a lot of things in this country, the money goes to the rich folks, and it goes to that money to Ukraine is just going for war. It's going to all the gun manufacturers and the defense contractors. That's who's getting that money. You know what I'm saying?
But don't you feel like the general public benefits from that? Like at least around here.
No. The ones who benefit are at the top. You know, the
Okay.
defense contractors.
Okay.
And I feel like we could use that money here. Like the money they sent to Ukraine that you said $17 billion.
Yeah.
I mean that could pay for free college for like a year almost.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here, right?
Right.
Let's say that they're doing this just to mess with Putin and Russia, right? To weaken them. Mm-hmm. How do you think that how like that's the only way, that's the only smart thing I see coming out of this. That this whole thing weakens Russia and it takes a madman from power away from power. Because eventually the people of Russia are going to get tired of fighting this war and losing so many young people. It seems like the army isn't even trained correctly. Like so, they're sending young boys over there that thought they were going to an exercise, and the whole time they're going to war.
Well, at the beginning, that's what they were saying.
Right.
Here's the thing.
But remember, Russia is the TV is controlled by the government. So the people are going to hear what the government is saying, not what the news or anybody else is saying. I don't even know if they have Twitter and Facebook. I think all that shit is banned over there.
So what you're saying, basically, you feel that they're just getting propaganda?
In Russia, yes. Of course, okay. Yes.
So you don't think we get any propaganda here in the U.S.?
I think we do get propaganda here in the U.S., but here we have independent journalists that will put holes in those propaganda. I mean,
and usually they're going with the stuff that's coming from Russia, and like you said, independent media, they don't go by. For those who don't know, 90% of media is controlled by 6 corporations. 6 companies control almost all media in the U.S.
That's big media. There's plenty of other places where you can get unfiltered news and unbiased news.
Right, and it usually goes against what they're saying in the mainstream media.
Correct.
And the mainstream
they
media
go against the war. They are against
mainstream
the war.
Media goes and says all these bad, like you're saying, Russia is to control Russia. But if let's turn the tables around for a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Imagine that Russia, since you mentioned Russia had an alliance, let's say with South America.
Okay.
And they were like, consider it like NATO, because NATO is what we have for the world, and that's what they want to make sure Russia doesn't spread their influence.
Can you explain what like NATO is? So some people might.
The North Atlantic Trade Alliance.
So a lot of countries in Europe are part of it, basically.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's a lot of countries. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but think about it. If Russia had an alliance with South America,
okay,
and they said, we're going to start building bases, and the first base we're going to put one in Mexico right near the U.S. border to make sure U.S. doesn't spread their influence.
Okay.
Do you think we would be cool with that?
No, I don't think we'd be cool with that.
And so why is it that Russia has to be cool with a NATO base being built in Ukraine by their border?
See, that's where I disagree with you, because I think that so much carnage and so much war has come from the Middle East and Europe that they have to have some kind of checks and balances. Every 30 years or every 40 years or every 20 years, there's a dictator that rises in the Middle East, in Africa, or in Europe. And what do? The first thing they do is try to build their army. And the second thing they do is cause a lot of death. So World War II began by 2 dictators in Europe. One being Hitler, and the other being the guy in I think it was Italy, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Was it
Germany,
Mussolini?
Italy.
Was it Mussolini?
It might have been Mussolini.
Anyways, they're
and
always
Japan.
And Japan. And those countries over there, the reason why we have to do what we have to do as the world police, because at the end of the day, that's what we are, the world police, is we have to keep everybody in check. Because if we don't, then you have these mass wars and these mass murders going on.
Okay.
Innocent people being killed all over the place.
So there's 2 things that I would say to counter that argument.
Okay.
All right. Since World War II, the one that you mentioned, that was in 1945. Okay. Well, during that time, that was when we got in it. Because
Right.
that's when they attacked Pearl Harbor, right?
And we had, by the way, we had no intentions of getting involved.
Right, we weren't
and
in
we
that.
were being called out by the world because we weren't getting involved in that war. But
Okay.
go ahead.
So
Until we got attacked.
okay, and that's correct. I'm not pushing back on that. But since the end of World War II, how many conflicts has the U.S. been in?
A bunch. More than 100.
It's over 200.
Over 200
All right,
conflicts, yes.
and so no one else has gotten into. China hasn't been in any other wars since then.
I don't think China. I don't think China has
Russia. I mean Russia either.
Well, Russia didn't have the power to do so, right? They didn't have the power after World War II. And after the Cold War, Russia wasn't Russia anymore, right? So Russia wasn't a world leader. They weren't who they were during the Cold War. After the Cold War, Russia split. I mean, they were selling airplanes to like
all right. So I
people
like that
in the U.S. Like guys
that,
were going out there to get
right.
helicopters. I saw a documentary on it. It was crazy.
Right. So I like that you said that about Russia.
Because Russia did put a bunch of missiles in Cuba, right?
No, remember Kennedy
They were
was
trying
president.
to.
They wanted, but again, so it's okay for the U.S. to send missiles and everything else to any of their allies, right?
Yeah.
Cuba was an ally of Russia,
Right.
but it wasn't okay for them to do the same thing.
It's not okay for them the same thing.
So why is it that we can do it but no one else can?
Because other people have a history of overusing their power. So if
So
we
you
were
don't think-
Russia, let me give you an example. If we were Russia, the United States would own Mexico and it will own Canada and it will own all of Central America. Because that's usually what happens when somebody gets into power in Russia. Is how long has Putin been in power? About 20 years, 30 years.
All right. So you're saying dictators, right?
Dictators usually want to take over other lands. That's what they do. His dream, he's a
I wouldn't say that they always want to take over everybody's land.
Most of the time. He's an ex-KBG, right?
Right.
And what is it? KBG's what dream?
You tell me.
You don't think it's to get Russia back to the USSR days? To take over Poland, to take over Ukraine, to take over all these other countries?
To bring back the country
USSR.
the country they used to have, right? I mean, how would we feel about countries taking Alaska from us, Hawaii from us, parts of the nation? I think everybody would have a problem with that, right?
We would have a problem with that.
Now, you mentioned something about, in 91 is when the collapse of the USSR happened, right?
Correct.
So Ukraine broke off, several other countries. And are you familiar with the Minsk Accord agreements?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the Minsk Accord agreements said that NATO was not going to extend past Germany.
I think Bill Clinton said that to him,
He was
right?
the one he was the president at the time.
Right.
And the Minsk Accord agreements, that's what it said, that we weren't going to advance past Germany, but consistently they've been trying to add more and more bases. That's why I asked if you would be cool with Russia making a base in Mexico or in Canada near our borders. I think no one would be in agreement with that.
Because of their history, though. You know what I mean?
History? Because what we're doing, what we're accusing other countries of doing. And then the other thing is, if you didn't know, the U.S. provides military assistance to 73% of the world's dictatorships. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's a new fact. New fact.
So that came out in several different news outlets.
So the U.S. directly sells them arms.
Saudi Arabia is a dictatorship.
Okay.
So I mean, that's
but
one
they're
of our
nice
biggest
to
allies.
us. They're nice to us, so we can.
Yeah,
do that.
because
You know
no. They buy our weapons.
Okay.
And that's the only reason that we're cool with it is because they're giving money to the defense contractors.
They're nice to us.
That's
but
not
Saudi
nice.
Arabia
That's just more war.
Saudi Arabia is not going around taking over countries, though, bro.
But they're in Syria right now,
helping us, though, right? We don't want whoever's in Syria to be there, right?
No. So Syria is very complicated. It's very complicated. We're still there. So okay, we're supposed to be enemies with ISIS, correct?
Well, things change all the time.
Oh, well,
things change all the time.
Do they?
Your enemies can become your friends if you have the same goal, right?
But we're fighting ISIS in certain places. But in Syria, what's going on there? We're not fighting them there.
Because we don't want that guy in power.
We don't want ISIS in power is what I thought, right?
Well,
you don't want them to take over the country.
Well,
and that's who the president of...
Who's in power in Afghanistan?
We put him there.
Who's in power, though?
I don't know who the new person is, but
It's
remember, we have them on.
It's the Taliban that owns
The Taliban took over.
Okay,
but I think we caused that. Did we
mortal
not?
enemies 9/11, right?
No,
The Taliban was one of our mortal enemies during the
it
Bush
was Al
era.
Qaeda.
And the Taliban.
It was
we didn't like
Al-Qaeda.
the Taliban, and now we like the Taliban. We're
No.
leaving them.
No, we're not.
Leaving them in power.
We have sanctions
left.
on them. We have sanctions on them. We're
But
not
we left,
allowing them to thrive. We left, but now we're starving them by not allowing them to use money in their own country. And so we have a lot of chaos going on in Afghanistan. That's the same thing that happens everywhere we go.
The way I see it is, whoever's in power, whoever's the superpower of the world is going to control everything. Is going to control the narrative. Is going to control who gets who, what gets what.
Should that?
And we're nice about it. I think we're nice about it.
I don't think so. I
Compared
think
to
we get rid of any not dictator, any president that we don't like because we want to pillage people's countries. Let's be real.
I mean, but
if we don't have anything to get from these countries, we wouldn't care. Like we hold certain standards in certain places, and then we have opposite standards in others. Like people want to fight about, they want to get mad about, let's say, human rights in China.
Right.
But I mean, we have these issues here in this country, the way we treat certain people.
Not to the extent of China, though.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
No,
we don't have anybody in cages here because of their religion.
What would you consider because of their religion per se?
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of people in cages as far as prisons. I mean, we have, people were talking about Trump when he was in power, when he was the president, excuse me. We were saying that, we got the kids in cages and whatnot. Well, the kids are still in there. And it started under Obama, to be real. Right. So to me, it doesn't matter from either one of these political parties. Right. We have the same policies where, where they always agree, the Republicans and Democrats, know where they always agree? Yeah. War.
Yeah, I mean, I think war, I know I'm going to sound crazy by saying this, but I think war is necessary to maintain the U.S. number one in the world. I think that through our best years, which is, I think the 90s was great for this country. We've always been involved in conflicts, always. This country, after World War II, this country, and prior to World War II, this country's always been involved in conflicts. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
It's really been since World War II.
Because if we allow somebody else to go in there and influence them, it's not good for us.
But we're doing exactly what we're accusing these places of doing. We have bases all over the world. We have over 1,000 bases.
And I hope that grows.
I don't.
Because it keeps me and you safe, right? Keeps our family safe.
That's a false narrative. So.
I believe it keeps us safe.
What you're telling me is you're believing the hype and the propaganda that is being fed to us.
No, it's not propaganda because I know some of the wars, like the Ukraine thing, I'm not with it, but I can understand why it's being done.
You were there at first.
I was with it.
Now, what made you change your mind on that?
I think we're giving them too much money. That's what changed my mind. I think we're giving them too much money. But it's anything that can weaken Russia, I'm with it. Anything that can weaken China, I'm with it.
But Russia isn't trying to take over. Remember, they weren't the ones trying to take over. They were fighting against Germany with us as well.
Right, but we have friends around there, right? Okay. We got friends around there, so we got to protect our friends.
The whole purpose of NATO was to keep Russia in check, the USSR in check. And if the USSR fell, now what is the purpose of NATO? If they don't exist anymore, what is the purpose?
To avoid war, to avoid another dictator coming in.
But we're in wars. That's the issue with it. We're in wars.
But we're not war. We're not in a war like World War II, and we're not a war in like.
We might as well.
There's not a dictator over there killing everybody right now.
We're in what, 7 conflicts, I believe it is.
And we should be in more, to be honest with you, because there's another dictator coming right behind our backyard. You know.
But
what I mean?
no one has come to attack us.
But I think we're going to agree to disagree with this.
That's good.
Let's go to Qatar, where the FIFA is happening right now. Mm-hmm. How do you feel what's been going on over there? I know I sent a couple articles in the chat. Right. Where they're not allowing people with they don't
allow alcohol. Yeah, the gay flag.
You get a little flag like a pin, for the arm. So, but how do you feel about such a small country with such wealth against everything that we accuse the U.S. of? This is a small country with brown people because they're all brown. There's no white people over there. You can't blame white people with the issues that Qatar has. Now, Qatar The research I did, Qatar is a little small country that was really poor, and they found oil and they found gas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it has less than 1 million people that are native to that country.
Yeah.
And now they're all rich. Everybody's rich over there. So no, if everybody's rich, nobody's going to do the labor, right? You got to import people from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? They import people from India, from Africa.
So,
And this is a brown country, right? This is not white people. White people have nothing to do with this. They're all rich. Everybody there is rich. Everybody's filthy rich. All the families, all the originators, when gas and oil was found. How do you feel about what's going on with FIFA? How do you feel about what's going on with the slave labor they have over there? Because they literally have slave labor over there. How do you feel about that?
okay. So, I mean, there's a couple things in everything that you said that I want to unpack. So with Qatar, I mean, I think it's some positive, some negative.
Okay.
Right. So I think it's a positive thing that the country, the way you're describing it, everybody's rich.
Everybody is rich over there.
Would that happen here?
What do you mean?
Well, you just said everybody in Qatar is rich.
Because
They're
of the
sharing,
resources they have.
but they're sharing it with the people.
But it's a small country though, bro. And
I
it's a small
understand.
population.
I
You know what
understand.
mean?
But what they're doing is at a community level, everybody there, the whole million, is there a city here where 1 million people are rich?
I mean, the average American is richer than 90% of the world. So me making around what I make and you making what you make, we live better than 90% of the world, right?
Well, I think we also work a lot more.
Okay,
than who we're talking about.
That's fine. That's fine. But
Because
let's
like in Europe.
yeah.
In Europe, for example, there's a lot of people that work a lot less.
Right.
They have less stress
Right.
lives. They get, what is it? I want to say 3 months when they have a baby.
Right,
the fathers.
Right.
The fathers.
But they also drive BS cars in Europe.
But
I
they're
mean,
not,
I'm a
they're
middle
not
class-
concerned. They're not concerned with
But
that
we are
material
though.
thing.
Americans are. That's why that's what makes us different from the rest of the world. We'll work towards what we want, even if we die working. But let's get back to Qatar though. Let's get back to Qatar.
Well,
Tell me, how do you feel about them treating Indians, Africans, and anybody else that migrates over there? How do you feel about them treating those people like slaves? Because that's pretty much what they do.
so I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand.
Okay.
So I'll be real. I was in the Air Force years ago, and one of my duties that I had to do or that I volunteered for, I was on a temporary duty, and I went to Kuwait, all right, for a couple months.
Okay.
And in Kuwait, my assignment, my temporary duty there, I had to watch what they call TCNs, third country nationalists. So there were people from Egypt, from China, from Pakistan, from a lot of different countries, and they were building the base that I happened to be stationed at.
Okay.
And I had to watch them to make sure that was all they were doing.
Okay.
So I was just chilling and making sure they were doing their job.
Okay.
So that's why I say I'm a little bit familiar with what's going on.
Okay. So when you were doing this job,
Right.
when these people said, "Yo, I'm tired. I need water. I can't work. I feel like I'm gonna die," what was their response?
So I never heard that per se. I think there was very small conflicts that came out. I remember there was a guy that was from Pakistan, and he had an issue with a guy. They were both workers.
Okay.
Okay. Neither one of them were a supervisor.
Okay.
And one guy was from Pakistan, and the other guy, I want to say, was from India.
Okay.
Okay. And the conflict that they had was the guy from Pakistan felt that the guy from India wasn't pulling his own weight, wasn't doing as much work as the rest of the guys.
Okay.
And so,
But both of these guys were
they were
immigrants,
digging
right?
dish. They were
They're
both immigrants
to that country.
They were immigrants, and they were working in Kuwait
Okay.
at the time.
I want an example though. I want an example of somebody from Kuwait that has money. It's a brown country, Kuwait, right?
Yes, yes.
So I want an
It's right
example.
I was 60 miles from Iraq.
For it to kind of go with where I'm going, I need an example of somebody from Kuwait that's rich dealing with the immigrant and how they treat them. Because we here in America get a lot of flack for treating immigrants like shit. and I don't agree with that because I'm an immigrant and I don't really. And I've been able to do things in this country that I would only dream of in the Dominican Republic, and I haven't been humiliated by anybody. These people in Qatar, from what I'm learning and what I'm researching, they're treating these people like worse than animals. So when you're like too tired from work and you die on the job, they bury you right there, or they take you off to the side and bury you. I don't think that can happen in this country without, even if you don't have any papers, without it being a huge deal. I mean, in the 90s, we had a kid that was from like Cuba or something like that, that we're trying to fight to keep him here. I don't think those brown countries over there would do that. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this? Like they're treating these immigrants like dogs. You know what I'm saying?
We can't really speak on it. We can only go by what is being reported.
What's being reported.
Right.
Correct.
What's being reported. But it's like we do have to. Sometimes we got to look in the mirror. We don't treat everybody here the greatest.
Okay.
And your circumstances, you know, everybody doesn't have the same circumstances that you had to come here.
Okay.
You came legally and everything, and you had help when you got here. You had family, correct?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you didn't just come here and just sleep on the street and then pull yourself up. No, you had a place to stay.
I had a support system.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't have that support system when they go somewhere.
But in those brown countries, it doesn't matter if you have a support system. You're always going to be a second-class citizen.
And most of the time, it's like that no matter what country you're at. You're going to not have the same rights and circumstance that the people
here,
that live there.
my son here can become a president of the country because he was born here, right?
Born here, yeah, of course.
In those brown countries, if you're not from those families, you could never run those brown countries. You could never be at their level, right? And that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
But I mean, even here is like that because if you like you yourself could never be president here,
I could
because
never be
you
president.
weren't born here.
Right.
So I mean,
I could be a senator.
Relative.
I could be
you could
congressman.
Be everything except the president.
Right, but my son can. Though.
Exactly, your son can do anything because
but those
he's first
brown
generation.
countries don't work that way, right?
I can't say
no, they don't
because a lot of them are like you know by the king and the prince, and so it's their family only.
So I'm
really not for monarchy,
right?
Anyway.
So I'm taking you there just to kind of give everybody a perspective and give them a different outlook of how you take this what we have here for granted. I mean, you can't even wear a T-shirt with rainbows in their stadium. That is insanity to me. This is 2022, right? I mean, and that's fine. They can have their own views, and I respect their views and everything like that. But what irritates me is when they come over here, or somebody from here says, "Oh no, we're the worst of the worst." Nah, bro. There's worse.
It's not that we're the worst.
There's worse. There's a lot worse.
Because look, everything is a spectrum, and so what you're talking about with they're still not at the level that we are here with acceptance of the LGBTQ community.
I don't think they're ever going to get there, bro.
I mean, I don't know if
their
it's going to happen.
Their religion is not going to allow it.
Well, I don't know if it's going to happen in our lifetime. I think at some point they're going to have to start evolving. I think they're going to have to start evolving with some of their views.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not many countries in the world that are going to be 100%, you know, with everything. I mean, I don't think that we're 100% with everything here. We may have better rights as far as LGBTQ.
I mean, women can drive here. You know what I'm saying? Women can't drive in those countries. A lot of those countries, they can't drive.
They just started allowing.
But
again, see, if you have a problem with that in Qatar, why don't you have the same issue with Saudi, where they just started allowing women to drive a couple of years ago?
Don't get it twisted. I'm not a huge fan of the Middle East and their rules. You know what I'm saying? I don't critique it. I just get mad when people here say, hey, that's their way of living, right? We got to accept it. But when we go over there.
But we can also educate.
When we go over there, they don't accept our way of living. When they come here, we got to accept them. We got to build mosques for them. They can build a mosque here.
Well, in their mosque, they have their beliefs.
Right.
But we have freedom of religion here in this country.
Right. So that's
the First Amendment as well. That's part of the First Amendment.
Right. And that's where I'm going with it. Like, it could be a lot worse. A lot worse. And the FIFA is showing the world this. All these journalists from all these countries want to protest and want to do all this stuff. And they're like, yo, don't come to my country with that shit, right? This is the Middle East. This is Qatar. Our rules. you're not gonna drink in our stadium. Could
Well,
you imagine if we told somebody else from another country, first of all, you can't wear that shirt here. Second of all, you can't drink in our stadium.
okay.
That's batshit crazy, bro.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with the whole thing about the alcohol. I think you can't even drink in most places over there.
Bro, you can't show affection to another woman that's not your wife
That's
over
not
there.
your wife
it's in
over
Qatar
there.
right now. This happening in Qatar right now.
Right. That's one of the things that could get you arrested.
And if you notice, a lot of the soccer players are protesting I think it was France. Who lost? A big country lost. I think it was Italy or France. One of them two.
That lost what in the World Cup?
They lost to
FIFA?
Japan. Who lost to Japan just now?
Germany.
So Germany
They
went
lost
over there.
today.
All the soccer players went over there and they put their hands above their mouth to protest. Like you're not letting people be free. Right? So they lost.
Well, I mean,
right?
they did a silent protest. I get it. Okay.
They lost. One of the guys from Qatar got on Twitter and said, "This is why you lost. You're focused on social rights
You
as
trolled
opposed
them,
to right as opposed to worrying about your sport and what you're doing. Leave us alone. We have our own views."
I mean,
So-
you
so-
can't force, but okay. But what I would say here in this country, maybe not with that issue, but remember when they were passing, trying to make Martin Luther King a holiday nationally,
Yeah.
and they did it in most places except Arizona.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yeah.
The Super Bowl said, you know what? We're not gonna have. The NFL said we're not gonna have the Super Bowl
Yeah.
in this state,
Yeah.
and that's a huge revenue
Right,
for
right,
the
right.
state.
Right.
We're not gonna have the Super Bowl there until you change this. And what did they do? They changed it.
Right.
They
So-
did it because money talks.
Right.
And so if you want countries like that to change, then it would be up to FIFA and big organizations like that to be like, okay, well, we're not gonna have it there
the thing
unless
is,
you change some of these.
the thing is they don't care
rules.
about that, right?
No, that's fine.
They
They
don't
don't
care.
care because they got it. They
And-
got the contract. They bought a lot. They fucking bribed a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's
You
what
know,
I was.
that's
gonna
why
get
they
to.
got it.
That's what I was gonna get to. They bribed
Right.
everybody, and that's how they
Bribed
got
them.
FIFA over there because they're not even prepared. They weren't even prepared with the stadiums and stuff like that. I mean, they did a lot of
I
the
did hear
stuff
that
with immigrant labor, and they had people working until they died, and that's what I want to get to. But basically, I brought that Qatar situation up just to let people know here in the United States that we don't have it as bad as you think. And a lot of people that complain about this country, you have every right to complain, but some of y'all need to go outside of the United States and travel other places and see what's out there before you come here and act crazy about the smallest things. I know we're not perfect, and I know we have a lot of things to
And
fix.
all it is that a lot of people just want us to get to the standard that we want to project to the rest of
sometimes
the
we
world.
may not get there. You know what I'm saying? We might not get to
But
having.
there's nothing wrong with bringing these things to light and say, hey, look, here we should do certain things different. Like,
Bro, I don't want my kids using the bathroom with a grown man. I don't want my daughter using bathroom with a grown man. That's
but
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
here we're having. I mean, they're trying to add a third bathroom for a transgender in a lot of places.
But that's not possible.
They have
everywhere.
it in schools. No,
That's
I
not
get
possible
it,
everywhere.
but it's something that they're implementing. So to
sure.
take that off the table, because
sure.
I mean, some people still got to go to the bathroom. I'm
For
not
sure,
saying
for
that
sure.
you know. Again, that's always the one scenario that they want to point to, as if that's the only thing that ever
Well,
happens.
there's more things, and my whole thing with this Qatar is we have to let people be who they be in their country, and when you go outside of the United States, things are very different. If you're not well traveled, it's kind of crazy for you to like say, "Oh, this is the worst country in the world." I mean, when you go outside of here, things are tough for a lot of people, man.
But
And,
I mean, it's also
that's why I'm gonna leave it
also
at.
good in a lot of other places. Like, you know, in Europe, they like I was saying earlier, they get a lot more vacation time. They don't have to work as hard, and they have, you know, similar pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even Europe is being labeled as a racist place. You know
well,
what I mean?
yeah.
Which
I'm
I
not
think is
saying
crap.
again.
You know what I mean?
I'm not again. A country doesn't have to be perfect
Yeah.
for us to say, hey, something is better over there. Like as far as vacation, as far as like they have free healthcare, it's paid for.
Yeah,
you know,
they
through
get
their
taxed like a
taxes.
mug. Yeah, they get taxed like a mug. But you're right.
But you think they pay more taxes than us? No, we pay the most taxes in the world.
No, Canada has free healthcare as well.
That's right.
And
And
a
they
pair
also
of
have free college.
But a pair of shoes that cost $150 here costs almost $250 in Canada.
Isn't that because of the currency that they have? It's not the same as the
No,
dollar,
no.
right?
So when I was there, I did it where it'd be the same, and it would be $250 almost. Same, like for like. You know what I mean? Like,
Now,
not with the currency exchange.
Is it because of the shipping costs maybe to go?
No,
to
it's just the taxes. It's the taxes. The cars are more expensive over there as well.
They
just
also
because
have,
they have all this
They also have marijuana is also legal in the whole.
It is, but when what I want people to understand is when you have all these like free college, free healthcare, and all these free things, I'm not opposed to them, but other things are going to be more expensive. But anyways, let's go to the Dominican Republic.
Right.
What's going on over
there? We
there?
have our roots from there.
We're both from there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about what's going on with the Haitian folks over there? How do you feel about Haiti? Mm-hmm. And what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so to give a little bit of context, in Dominican Republic, they've had, I think they deported almost 15,000. I don't know the exact. It's 14.
30,000 in 1 month.
It wasn't 14 and some change last month alone. I think it was in October. I believe it was 14 and some change.
Nah, it was like 30.
Last month?
I think so. I can double check it.
Because the article that I read on CNN, it said that it was last month alone was 14 and some change.
Okay. So maybe it was that.
What they were saying is, I mean, this really comes from a law that they didn't pass the law, but then it went through this court. Because the justice system, the legal system over there works a little bit different than here. And
a lot different.
A lot different.
Yeah.
And, what they did was they said, if you weren't born here, or excuse me, if you're undocumented and you had kids here, not only are you illegal, but your kids are illegal.
Yeah.
And so me personally, I disagree with that. I think if you're born somewhere, you should be a citizen. I mean, we have that here. Even though an undocumented person might have brought their children or had their kids here, once they're born here, that's it. Yeah. They're American citizens.
For now.
For life.
For now.
Again,
I think
I know that there
change.
are some people on the right that want to change that.
I think that may change.
But that's been the law of the land
for a long time.
Since the Constitution. That's in the Constitution. If you're born here, that's it. You're an American citizen. No questions about it. You know what I'm saying? And what they did in DR was they passed that controversial law, like I said, that now that even if you were born here, if your parents are undocumented, now you're illegal. Now you don't have an ID. Now you can't go to school. Now you can't work legally.
Yeah.
And I personally disagree with that, but that's the reason that this started. And
so let me ask you a question.
They kind of been enforcing it.
Is
over
it
these
everybody
last few years.
or just Haitians? Everybody that goes to DR undocumented and has a kid is illegal. Their kid is illegal.
I think they wrote it specifically for Haitians.
Nah, bro.
I believe
that's
they
nuts,
did.
Bro. It's everybody. So you have Venezuelans that go there. If they have kids there and they're not, they don't have Dominican papers, their kids are not Dominican. And you have Colombians that go there. If they go there, and they don't have papers, their kids don't have papers.
So
if you have Americans that go there and like two U.S. parents and they have a kid there, that kid is not Dominican. It wasn't just written for Haitians. It was written for everybody.
Okay, so we have to go and let's do a little bit more research on it because I don't want to speak on it too much and be incorrect. You know what I mean? As far as I know, but that's the main focus.
Okay.
Is that it's Haitians. And then the reason...
So you don't like that law?
I don't agree with the law.
You don't agree with the law?
I don't agree with the premise of it. Okay. It's one thing to go after undocumented people that may be in the country, but it's another thing to just take everybody's citizenship that's been there their whole life. Okay. I think I'm a little partial to that. I feel that if you're born there, you should have the same rights as anybody else that was born there. And
let me ask you a question though.
What's that?
Do you think Haiti has the same law?
Well, Haiti is destabilized.
Right, but let's say they were a stabilized country. Haiti at one point was stabilized.
Were they?
A long time ago. So they have a law in the books that if a Dominican, any person, because you can't write a law for a specific race. That's ridiculous, right? If a Dominican is born in Haiti from Dominican parents, they're not Haitians. They're still Dominicans. So my problem with
researched that?
I know that for a fact. I've researched that. So that's my problem with this whole thing. The hypocrisy is my problem. And I'm a person, I hate hypocrisies, right? I know we're the wealthier country. I understand that we're the big brothers. I understand that, right?
Do you think we have a hand in that?
Well, we've never got along. And I understand why they did that law. It makes sense.
No, when I say we, I'm sorry. When I say we, I'm talking about the U.S. Do you think the U.S. has a part in why Haitians cross the border and try to make more money.
Well, I'm not gonna get U.S. involved in this conflict between an island that's in the same place, right? The U.S. for all their mean things they do around the world, this is a situation with the Dominican Republic and Haiti. I don't want the U.S. to get involved.
But I mean,
the U.S. shouldn't have anything to do with it.
And we agree there that I don't want the U.S. to intervene and step into Haiti. The last thing that Haiti needs is another intervention.
I disagree with you, but let's go back to Haitians having these laws in their constitution where if you're not from Haiti, if your parents aren't from Haiti, and they're not legally there, you're not a Haitian. I hate the hypocrisy of that because...
But, I mean, how many Dominicans do you think are going to migrate to Haiti?
Zero, because their country's crap.
So then, again... So then what is the purpose of even bringing
the purpose is that there's a hypocrisy with that, right? So let's say in the future, you never know, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say Haiti's doing better than DR and Dominicans are migrating to Haiti. Do you think we're going to be welcome over there with open arms, bro? Probably not, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, what Dominican is going to go and work for less?
You never know. The world.
Do Haitians work harder than Dominicans in your opinion?
In Haiti as immigrants?
No.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, do we not treat, do Dominicans in Dominican Republic, do they not treat Haitians as lesser than?
Dominicans treat everybody in the Dominican Republic as not Dominican lesser than. I've seen people talk crap about Venezuelans, and I've seen them talk crap about Colombians.
Okay.
So we treat...
Yes, I have seen that as well.
Okay.
I'm not disputing that. Now, when I was there on my last trip, I was just there last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On business. And one of the people that I had dinner with, a group of friends, and a couple of them were saying how, because we ate at a Spaniard restaurant.
Right.
Okay? Right. Spain, not Dominican.
Yeah.
So what they were saying was that they work with some Spaniards. Yeah. And the Spaniards treat Dominicans as lesser than. Okay. And I was saying that, that a lot of European nations kind of treat other places, especially former colonies of theirs, as lesser than. They feel that they're superior and above that. And I was saying that, it's all relative, that Dominicans also treat Haitians as lesser than.
Correct.
As far as worker, when they work.
So are you noticing the trend? Anywhere you migrate to, they're going to treat you lesser than. That doesn't make Dominican people bad people.
But a Spaniard...
It doesn't make us racist.
But a Spaniard is the one coming there, and he's treating our people...
Does he have the money? Is he a business owner?
They have a business owner, and then they treat them...
That's it, bro.
As lesser than.
That's it, bro.
But I'm not cool with that either, no matter what race or...
But I don't think that's
racism.
I think that's classism, because
no. I'm just saying, no matter what race, no matter what race or whatever country... I don't think you should feel that you're superior than anybody. Okay. It's one thing to be on a work level, like you're an owner, and then you have to have people under you. It's one thing, but you still have to treat people with some type of respect or dignity.
I just think it's crazy that people in this country think that the Dominican Republic can take over all these immigrants from Haiti, a poor country. The Dominican Republic is a poor country. It's one of the best poor countries in Latin America, if not the best. But it's still, the average Dominican makes like $300 to $500 a month. So I think it's crazy.
Well, their rent is usually like around there from like $200-300 a month. So they make a little more than that.
Right. So I just think it's crazy for them to think we can take on 5 million, 1 million, 2 million Haitians in our country.
Well, I think Haitians, Haiti's actual population, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's only like 4 million.
4 million?
4 or 5 million.
So let me see.
I think there's 12 million. It's 12 million Dominicans. Because remember, we're 2/3 of the island. They're only
6 million.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it's 12 million Dominicans.
Right.
And I don't think
the Dominican Republic cannot take all 6 million Haitians.
And I'm not saying for that to happen. I wish there would be a little bit better relations with the two countries, but I think it goes back to the reason that it's happening. And I have to involve the U.S. because Clinton...
Big bad U.S.?
Well, they had a law that they were trying to pass, and I believe it passed. The people voted for it there, where they just wanted to raise the minimum wage there. And Obama and Clinton actually fought to not have them raise the wages. And so,
So let me ask you a question.
yeah.
When do Haitians take responsibility for their countries?
Okay.
When does that happen?
Who actually runs the country of Haiti? Do you know?
They have 3 different gangs right now. And I know it's messed up to call them gangs, but that's what they're calling them, right? They have 3 different gangs.
Okay, wait.
And they have a government that nobody follows.
Let me push back a little bit. Okay,
go ahead.
So, if you didn't know, there are 8 oligarchs that live in Haiti.
Okay.
And they're from Middle Eastern descent.
Okay.
Most of them are Middle Eastern, some are European.
Okay.
All right. But the thing is, none of them are African descent.
Okay.
Okay. But they pay a lot of money. These oligarchs,
okay,
all right, in Haiti, and there might be more, but I only have 8 of them in front of me. And they pay a lot of money to keep their faces out of the papers, out of everything. They're the ones that actually run the country, and they just prop up. They pick, a black face or a black president to come in, but it's for their interests, and they're very connected with U.S. All right, and they're actually some of the richest people in the entire Caribbean. And when you think of Haiti, you don't think of anybody being rich.
Okay.
But these people are rich. They run the country. They're the ones that actually give these arms to the gangs. Because it's one thing, we have gangs here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think they just get guns and everything out of thin air? They don't manufacture them.
The guns has to come somewhere.
They come from somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
And they're in Haiti. They're the ones that they arm some of these things. They let the chaos happen.
Okay.
It doesn't come to their doorstep per se.
Okay.
Because they're paying.
Right.
And that's the thing that people don't realize is that Haiti is never really allowed to be independent.
Okay.
These people are actually running the country. And it's crazy to think that these people are some of the richest in the entire Caribbean, bro.
Okay.
Like,
I
just found this out.
So the Dominican Republic is it was just as poor as Haiti, and we were able to at least form some kind of government over there. And
Haiti wasn't.
But when does it fall? When do they take responsibility, bro?
How can they, bro? Because from their inception, from their beginning, they were in debt. Like, do you agree with if someone was a slave owner, all right? Do you feel that when the slaves became free, they should be the slave owner, the slave master should be compensated? Because that's what happened. When Haiti got their independence, they were in debt from the beginning.
Okay.
And they've been having to pay France ever since that independence. And I think
they used to run the whole island, no?
Yeah, they were a colony. They were under.
But what did the Dominicans
France.
do when the Haitians ran the whole island?
Oh, when the Haitians took over Dominican
The
Republic?
whole island.
For 22 years.
Yeah.
They invaded and they took over.
How did they treat Dominicans?
That was what, in the 1800s that we're talking about?
How did they treat Dominicans?
From 1820, was it 22 to 44?
Something like that. They used to run the whole island. How did they treat the mulattoes? How did they treat the mulattoes over there? And how did they treat the Dominican descent from the Spaniards?
They treated them the way that they were treated by the French.
How?
They treated them terribly. I'm not saying that they were nice about it.
That's my point. Bro.
But that was but again, but that I'm not excusing one thing with the other, but we have to give context to everything, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I'm saying is a lot of that crap that went on shouldn't have been going on.
Don't forget.
They were never allowed to be a successful
we
country.
had our own dictator that treated people barbaric. My mother was in the Dominican Republic when
my mother
was there.
So when Trujillo was killed, my mother was
don't go to where he was killed. I want you to talk to me about what was living, like your mother and your father were there when Trujillo was born, right?
Right.
And how would he treat people?
He was horrible. And everybody had to, before having dinner, and they said their prayer, they had to say, God in the heavens, and Trujillo on land.
Who backed Trujillo?
The U.S. until they finally disagreed with him.
So what did the Dominican people do to Trujillo?
What do you mean? What did they do to him?
What did we do to Trujillo?
Well, the CIA is the one that went in and killed him.
But what did the town do to him, bro? Like we killed him, right? We got tired of his stuff, and so we're not taking
the CIA
this anymore.
killed him.
Whoever killed him, I don't know. But what I know is that we revolted. My mother told me that we as a nation, as a people, revolted against this BS and got him out of there. You know what I mean? So I just think that the Haitian people being as they are right now, can revolt and can take over their countries. I don't think that they're
But how
not.
can you have that when you have chaos? It's the same thing as us getting rid of Gaddafi in Libya, which Obama admits was one of his worst things that he did when he was president. All right, I don't know if you saw that. Now Hillary, she doesn't want to admit that. You know what I mean? But when you take over a country, when you get rid of their president and you ruin all their institutions, that's what happens. That's what comes next. It's chaos. It's a vacuum of chaos.
Right.
Now, somehow, even though we have all this chaos, you know, these 8 oligarchs, they're still in charge over there.
Right.
They're still in charge and they're still running things.
We can agree to disagree. I just think that the Haitian people.
I mean, I think it's just that there's still some things that maybe haven't been brought to light to you that you haven't seen.
Well, I did see this guy that runs part of the Haiti. Mm-hmm. They call this guy barbecue. Why do you think they call this guy barbecue?
I'm assuming he was burning people, grilling people or something.
Okay, so this is the type of barbaric stuff that's going on over there, man. Like, I understand that there's oligarchs, but there's 8 oligarchs to 6 million people, bro. You can't tell me those.
So they're the ones that's controlling. They have all the money.
I'm not gonna take that excuse. I think that Haiti. I believe that the Haitians can have the brain to come together and have a government and be able to.
But when they try to do it that way, but they've tried, and what happens? The president gets killed.
Okay.
They go back on. You know, the U.S. comes in and says, "No, actually, we're not going to increase your wages."
Always be the reason for people's problems, man. You know what I mean? Like,
well, a lot of times they start the conflict.
You know what I mean?
They go in and they don't allow countries to flourish or do what they're going to do.
And another thing, do you know who's the first country to help Haiti when it gets ravaged by a hurricane? Or do you know who's giving more help than the United States to Haiti?
We give help to a lot of dictatorships around the world. Aside from that, I mean, you can say that.
I'm not talking about the U.S., bro.
Okay, so who's the one?
The Dominican Republic has always been the first country to help Haiti when something happens.
Oh yeah.
So how can you be mad at us because because our infrastructure can't support all these people coming in? You know what I'm saying? Like I just think that's messed up.
No, I get what you're saying. Now, we do have in the country a lot of infrastructure that we're building. Did you see that we're building a bullet train? There's a lot of other Caribbean countries that are upset, you know, that they don't have that, but we're about to build one. It's supposed to get from Santiago, where your family's from, to the capital, I want to say in less than an hour. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right now it's an hour drive, but I think it's actually supposed to be like 20 or 30 minutes.
So just to close on that conversation, I think they have the same resources we have. They probably have even better beaches than we have. And they should they should be able to.
And that's the thing.
They should be able to progress a little bit, son.
They should.
You know what I'm saying?
But again, they're not being allowed to. You know what
We're gonna agree to disagree.
We have a lot of corruption there or whatever.
We're gonna agree to disagree.
But what I'm saying is, if we're gonna build these things that we're building a lot of buildings. You and I both bought properties in the Dominican Republic. Yeah. We need that labor there, do we not? Yeah. I don't think it's the greatest idea. It could delay a lot of people.
People that labor over there, bro.
Bro, yes, they do, because they're gonna build it faster. And again, it's cheaper labor. Yeah, they're going to make a lot more in Dominican Republic than they would in their own country.
I don't know if Dominicans want them taking that labor. You know what I'm saying?
Dominicans want the stuff built.
But let's move on because we're running out of time.
Yeah, let's talk about. There's a lot of things we're going to be able to cover on this.
Let's talk about this. The CEO of Disney being fired, man. How do you feel about that?
CEO of what?
Disney. He got fired.
Oh, yeah, I know your boy DeSantis was taking laps, you know, when that happened. I think he was pretty excited about it. He felt like he won and everything. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if it was. Boy. Well, I mean, you know. But I mean, I don't know. You think he was fired because of some of his stances with?
Yeah, I just think that he was forcing. I don't know if it was him. He was forcing a lot of stuff on people. You know what I mean? And a lot of the Marvel movies lately have seen an 80% drop on their second week, and he's forcing a lot of like. But you think female it was roles?
But you think it was because of something he did? What specifically do you think caused the numbers to drop in Marvel movies, like you said?
So let me give you a little nugget here, and then we'll close because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Black Panther. The first Black Panther wildly successful. What was the theme in that movie? White people were what? Colonizers, right?
Well, I mean, in
Hold
the
on,
context
hold on.
of the story, yeah.
Correct.
He called
White people were colonizers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They talked a lot of crap about America in that movie, as far as us
pillaging
and all that stuff.
Do we not do that? Do we not do that?
Hold on, let me finish, bro.
Okay,
let me take you where I'm going. So the last movie, you had these two nations, these two colored nations, right? And what were these two colored nations trying to protect?
Their resources.
And what are they what was the movie blaming the United States of doing? Protecting their resources, being colonizers, not allowing immigrants in. I know this is a fantasy movie, but this is the kind of psyche that will make you lose money when you present it to people in such manner.
So you said that.
So let me finish. So now, the second Black Panther, it dropped 80% as far as the money that it was making from the first one to the second one. 80%.
Do you think that? Well, okay. So the first one you said it had these negative images or
of the United States. It was like pushing
but
the
that
narrative.
That movie, if I remember correctly, was one of the highest grossing.
Correct.
Of all time.
Correct.
It was like number 3 or 4.
And that's where I'm going.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I'm going, right? So now it had a drop of 80% from 1 week to the second week. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, right?
Wakanda Forever, right.
So out of 10 white people that went to watch that movie, this is a crazy stat.
Right.
So 10 people went to watch the first Wakanda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only five white people went to watch this one.
Now, do you think that might have anything to do with Chadwick Boseman dying and not being hardly in the second one?
And that's where I'm going, right? So you have a male lead.
Right. Black
Panther is a male.
Okay.
You try to go with this woke era and make a female. You have a 125-pound female fighting a 200-pound man talking about she won. What are we doing here, bro?
Well, okay. Remember, we're talking about a fictional character. Number one,
it's a fictional character, but let's stay
in that universe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Now, remember, only one person is able to be the Black Panther, and I think it's supposed to give you those powers whether you're a man or a woman,
bro. Papito, it's a fantasy movie,
right? And
they could be like, yo, this Black Panther came from another era.
Remember,
he came to another era. He's gonna take over Wakanda. They could have had his son. They could have had another guy.
Did you see the? I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
I saw the movie.
Did you see the end?
Yeah, but it's like, why? Why not just have a Black Panther in this movie? An actual Black Panther, not a like 125-pound girl.
If it were a real scenario, real life, right?
Yeah.
Remember, it was just him and his sister. He didn't have another brother.
Right.
He didn't have another brother.
Right.
And so in the context of that story, it makes sense that his sister becomes, because it's not like they just picked a random woman.
Bro, but
he died and then the mom died. And so
I know, bro,
she's the one that's supposed to take over technically.
Man. You could do what you want, bro.
Right. But they already, don't you think they kind of set it up for the next one when the son grows up? You don't think it's a setup now? Because he has a son. It was revealed.
Why didn't they just do that now? You could do what you want.
Because again, it wouldn't have made sense because if it's only been 5 years and he just passed.
It's fantasy land. You can do what you want, bro.
Nah, bro. But again, his son can't be grown after 5 years.
Well, that caused the CEO his job. Number one, it caused the CEO his job.
But the movie didn't come out until now.
It wasn't just that movie. They did some stuff like that with Thor. They did like some.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't like the last Thor.
So they did some crazy stuff with Thor. They did some crazy stuff with Wakanda. They did some crazy stuff with Doctor Strange. Like they're trying to force a lot of things that don't need to be forced. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say
they made another character a different color, which is cool, whatever. You know what I mean? But I feel like people are tired of forcing stuff down our throats, and you seen a rebellion where a movie like Wakanda. A movie like Black Panther has an 80% drop.
Well,
you know what the number one grossing movie is this year?
What is?
What's that plane movie? Top Gun, bro. Top Gun grossed $1.4 billion, and it came out in May, and it's just now hitting DVDs. And why do you think that is, bro? Did you see it?
I think that
Did you see it?
No, I didn't get to see it.
Oh, man. It's a dope movie, right?
Okay.
Everything flows. There is no I'm a
the story makes sense and everything. So they had good writers. I mean, I get it. But this is what I would say
it's
about
not
that.
just that. It was pro-America, bro.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, that's
like pro-America, bro.
that is the other thing about it. You do have to include that. But at the same time, it was another topic we were going to discuss. It was like that it's not really a lot of movie stars anymore. It's a lot of, stories or Marvel Universe, for example.
We'll get to that on the next one.
Yeah, but I think it has something to do with that. I think Tom Cruise still has a lot of pull and a lot of power. When he does a movie, people go, bro. All his movies still do good. All the Mission Impossible movies, yo, he's a beast.
But they haven't grows with this grows, bro.
No, and I get it.
1.4 billion,
But how many of those people do you think loved the first Top Gun? And he's in it again.
I'm going to keep it real with you, bro. I wasn't even in this country when the first Top Gun went out. When the second one came out, I went and watched the first one. I said, this is dope. When I went and watched the second one, I was praying that they didn't try to, change stuff and woke me to death. And they didn't. And I loved it. I went to the theater. I took my girl.
So
I just think that we need to get back to that kind of stuff. If it's a male role in the comics,
the only thing I
give me a male role in the movies. Marvel is
and I understand what you're saying. You don't want the story to change.
Marvel is a male thing from 15 to 70. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, there still are. Wonder Woman was in these comics too,
and I'm cool with that. They didn't make her Wonder Man, did they?
No.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying for them to do that, but I'm just giving an example of one character that was in the comics and they didn't change per se.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. That I think it's cool for young women to be able to see a woman in the lead role as well.
And I'm cool with that as long as she was in the comics. She was that. I'm cool with that. Ironheart, I don't have a problem with Ironheart. Ironheart was in the comics. I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with that.
Right.
But anyways, man, this is our first episode, bro.
Yeah, we still finding our way.
We still finding our way, man.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro.
Puffin' Politics.
We're going to be talking about a lot of politics, a lot of money stuff on the next couple episodes. How to make it out here in this country.
Sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
We're going to have a guest.
Probably be a different setup, you know what I'm saying? We'll look a little different next time y'all see us.
So this has been
Puffin' Politics.
Puffin' Politics. We'll see y'all on the next road.
I'm going to be smoking cigars next time, though.